This is Flare Engine. Welcome. In this tutorial we're going to look into creating some basic AI. The engine implements two types of AI systems. One uses a behavior tree and the other uses a finite state machine. For the most part, while one AI system can create, the other can too, since both systems use the exact same nodes. Generally speaking, use the AI finite state machine when your AI is basic and the number of states is small. This should really be your first option when considering most AI. Use a behavior tree when the AI is much more complex. For these next tutorials, we will focus on the AI finite state machine. Okay, let's begin. First, we'll go ahead and create a basic enemy bot. We'll add an empty game object, attach sprite engine, and add the idle and walking sprites. This will be a very similar process, just like we performed with the player. We will add the velocity, ground, and always true signals. We'll create the on-ground sprite state and set up its render flip state. Now we attach the AI finite state machine. There are three types. When type is regular, it means the AI can detect collisions and is under the influence of gravity. A type of no collision checks will not detect collisions or be under the influence of gravity. Moving platform type is meant for any AI that is meant to work as a moving platform. We will set this AI as a regular type. The States tab is where we will design the state machine. The other three tabs are Blackboard data, which is data that will be used and shared by the nodes we create. And before we forget, we'll add a box collider 2D. The system uses over 50 nodes to create functionality. You can always create a node of your own in case you need specific functionality not yet implemented by the system. In this tutorial, we will only focus on a handful of nodes. By far, the most important nodes to become familiar with are follow target and find target. Okay, so let's get this AI to follow a target. A target is a world position the AI will be aware of for following or finding purposes. The target can be the player, a point, the mouse, a transform, and so forth. We will create the player target, which is a target that will return the player's position, and the mouse target. Every time you create a Blackboard data, you must give it a unique name. Now we go into the States tab and create our first state. We'll name it follow. The state name must also be unique. And then we add the follow target node from the context menu, and then open it. We set the target to player. For axis, we choose X, which means the AI will only follow the target in the X-axis, and we'll leave the other fields as is. Okay, we'll now reposition the bot in the scene. Make sure Box Collider 2D has this size and offset. We'll play Sprite Engine to set sprite renderer. And we'll now go into play mode. We can see the AI following the player. And just for fun, we'll change the target to mouse and see the AI follow the mouse. Okay, now we'll exit play mode. If you noticed, when the AI made contact with the player didn't take any damage. Let's change that. First, in the AI, we will enable damage. We want to detect the player's layer. This is the direction of damage, and this is the amount of damage delivered. Now we go into player. We set its layer to player. We'll make sure Box Collider 2D is set to isTrigger, and we change its size and offset. We add the pushback ability, and now the player can react to getting hurt. We'll set the reference to Sprite Renderer, and we'll get it to flash with transparency for 1 second. Now we add the health component. Any game object with this component can take damage. We name it, and if you are saving this in memory, the name must be unique. We set the reference to pushback and call the method activatePushback. And now each time the health component changes, it will call pushback to trigger a damage flash. Now we go into play mode. If we check the health value, we see that we've gone from 10 down to 0. Okay, now we'll exit play mode. In the next tutorial for basic AI, we will look into using a territory and the find target node. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.